not only today's hearing, but the subcommittee and full committee hearing yesterday. We're on the move in commerce, and we're on the cutting edge, as all of you are, in discussing the issues of our day, which is what do we do about data? What do we do about privacy rules? And as I argued yesterday, we simply cannot, and I appreciate Senator Cantwell's leadership in the privacy area, we cannot have this gigantic change in our economy like anything we've ever seen in the last few decades. Some of it good, some of it bad. Some incredible innovations, like the Fitbit I'm wearing right now. But also, as we know, one of the jobs of government, number one job, is to keep people safe. And as we heard yesterday, that's not always happening, as we hear from these cyber attacks. So we need to make our laws as sophisticated as the companies in our economy. And that means upgrading our laws and updating them. And so I appreciate you being here today. I think we need a national privacy law that creates digital rules of the road, and we need the resources for our agencies to enforce them. They're two separate things, but you can't have one without the other. I joined Senator Cantwell and Schatz and Markey in introducing the comprehensive privacy legislation to ensure that consumers can access and control how their personal data is being used. Do you all agree that consumers should have the ability to control their own data? Is that agreement from all of you?
Yes.
Okay. Everyone else?
I think a privacy law should go further than consumer control, which is notice and choice, which we've seen is problematic. It should provide more substantive protections as well.
Thank you. I think one other thing that was interesting was recently when Apple gave their customers a choice about protecting their data or not. And what was it? You can maybe explain it better for me here, but 75% of their customers is the number out there, chose not to have their data used. And it just shows us what would happen if this was available with all platforms. Professor Felton, in your testimony, you note that we can empower the FTC by authorizing data security rulemaking. Why is this rulemaking so important to protect consumers' data?
For a couple of reasons. First, that it provides more specificity than is available through the current structure of the FTC Act, so that companies have a clear idea of what they're expected to do. And it can also help to clarify ideas such as, issues such as the responsibility of suppliers in a supply chain, so that there's not ambiguity about what companies are expected to do, and therefore there can be strong enforcement if they fail to do it.
Thank you. And Ms. Rich, the bill would also increase transparency and require companies to maintain certain standards for their data security. In your testimony, you note that it can be a problem when companies over-collect or over-store data. How could a federal privacy law help with this issue?
I believe that both bills, they're a little different, but they both talk about data minimization and reducing unnecessary collection and storage of data, and that would be a very important component of a data security law.
And are you aware that one of the proposals out there as we debate this Build Back Better agenda and making our laws sophisticated and putting people first, some of it is putting some funding into the FTC for privacy, as well as from my position as chair of the antitrust subcommittee. We hope additional resources on antitrust at both the FTC and the Department of Justice. Could you talk about how important that is to have those resources? Yes, the Privacy Bureau. I know Senator Cantwell asked all of you that question, but also the resources for these agencies to do their jobs.
The FTC's resources in privacy and also antitrust, but I'm less familiar with that, is minuscule compared to other comparable enforcers abroad or even sectoral enforcers here in the United States. 45 to 50 attorneys, that was the maximum when I was there working on privacy. So resources are a critical piece of this, as well as authority.
I keep reminding people these are the biggest companies the world has ever known. Several of them are over $1 trillion, and we're trying to fight this with duct tape and Band-Aids. The other thing I like to remind people is in the competition policy area, when we add resources to that, and I'm sure the same could be said of some of the privacy work, we actually bring in money for the government because they're doing their jobs and they're enforcing the laws. And so we are literally, as you note, Ms. Rich, these agencies are a shadow of their former selves, even during Ronald Reagan. That's why we have long neglected them. And there are, in the competition area, deals that Bill Baer, that former head of antitrust under President Obama, said shouldn't be getting out of the boardroom. And I could think the same could be said of policies that are hurting people's privacy. Because if we're not there on the other side, you know, creating that safety for people and making clear we're going to be tough and strong, then they're just going to push the max, as we saw yesterday from the whistleblower. They're just going to target kids with bad anorexia content and the like, or let the algorithms do that and not do anything about it. That's what's going to keep happening unless we strengthen our side of the table. So thank you very much for your work. And I have some questions on cyber threats and the like, which I will be putting on the record. Thank you.
Senator Cruz, are you ready? Senator Cruz.